It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is David Martin. I work for Coca-Cola Enterprises and I am the European Director for Online. And I'll explain what that means in a minute. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm just going to talk a little bit around what right time, right place and right way means for Coca-Cola. And very much within the context of the multi-channel experience. So we will also touch on stores as part of this as well. As I said, I work for Coca-Cola Enterprises. Quick, brief introduction to the Coca-Cola system. You have the Coca-Cola company that owns the syrup and manages the brand. And then you have a number of bottlers globally who then manufacture the product and own the route to market through the retailers and the wholesalers. Coca-Cola Enterprises is one of the largest bottlers in the system, and we cover GB, France, Netherlands, Belgium, Norway and Sweden. And for those who read the press, you will know that we are currently going through a potential merger with Coca-Cola Iberia Partners and Coca-Cola AG in Germany, which will make us the largest bottler in the world. So that's background to Coca-Cola. So I look after the online channel. And effectively what that means is wherever we're selling our product through a retailer or a wholesaler, whether they be a multi-channel operator or a pure play operator, then we are looking after that relationship and making sure that we are optimizing the opportunity for that channel. So we work closely with the likes of Tesco, Asda, Morrisons, Ocado, Booker in the UK, but obviously across other markets, Carrefour, Auchan, Deleuze, Colruyt, ICA, Albert Heijn. So that's the background to us. So we're going to start. Now some of you may well have seen this ad fairly recently. It's all about celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the iconic glass Coca-Cola bottle. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you who that person is. But I don't know if you know how she actually got her breakthrough. She was actually working in a munitions factory in the early 1950s when a photographer from Yank magazine wanted to photograph some women at work. And she was actually spray painting aeroplanes at the time, which is obviously very different from what she ended up doing. And he actually came back to find her later to tell her that she could be a model. So she dyed her hair blonde and took acting classes. And that's Marilyn Monroe as we know her today. Another example, Johnny Depp. He was bored one day, had nothing to do. He had a mate called Jackie Earle Harley who was going to audition for Nightmare on Elm Street. And to his surprise, the director, Wes Craven, spotted him, asked him to read for one of the parts, which he got. And he had the joy then of, at some point in that movie, being murdered by Freddy Krueger. So that started him on his career to becoming a Hollywood A-lister. Whether that was good for us or not, I'll leave that for you to decide. But again, you know, examples of right time and right place. But of course, it's not always about being in the right time at the right place. This poor little chap here is obviously in the wrong time at the wrong place, although I am assured by the agency that put this together that this is the wonders of Photoshop and it's not real. But of course in marketing we talk a lot about relevance and context and timely delivery. But quite often the best laid plans of what we want to do don't quite work out. Not that clear, I'm afraid. And I've showed those images really just to demonstrate that whatever we plan, whatever we do, sometimes we get the wrong messages in the wrong place at the wrong time. No planner intended those mishaps to take place. Although perhaps with Cheryl Cole, I'm not sure, but we'll wait and see. And technology, of course, just makes this 100 times harder and more challenging for us to get it right. I mean, we particularly at Coke like the statement here from Steve Jobs, which is you've got to start with the customer experience and work back towards the technology, not the other way around. Because we do know, ultimately, at the end of the day, for us, it is about people and not technology. And it is about communicating with them as part of their lives to make it better, faster, cheaper, or easier. And for a brand like Coke, understanding how this links into the physical world, both in terms of products and experiences, as well as what we do in the digital space. So I'm just going to share a couple of examples of some programs that we've run over the last 18 months. Hopefully you'll be familiar with them. And spend a bit of time showing how from store out we have started to engage customers by making sure we've got the right product in the right place with the right experiences at the right time. And some examples of how we've then used digital across both the sort of the online transactional channels, but also around our stores to drive that engagement and, of course, ultimately drive sales. But of course, as ever, it's worth thinking about your customer to start with. We know that our customers have increasingly hectic lives. The level or number of interactions that they have with a whole variety of media during the course of the day runs into the hundreds and thousands. As I said, those are both physical and digital. And of course, nowadays, they have the opportunity to talk to us, but as importantly, to talk about us and around us. So understanding how we can start to join these dots up, and we can create a seamless customer journey and a seamless path to purchase is one of the challenges that we, and I'm sure all of us, face. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Share a Coke. I'm hoping many of you will be aware of the Share a Coke campaign, which we've run over the last 2 years. Who in here, hands up, bought a Coke bottle with their name on? Yes, a few. How many bought a bottle with someone else's name on to gift to them? Yeah, still quite a few. Good. I mean, it is a brilliantly simple idea. Quite complex to execute, but brilliantly simple in terms of the idea. Very much linked to the Coke brand essence of sharing. But obviously our challenge as the bottler is how do we bring that to life in our stores, both in the physical world and in the digital world, and how do we engage people through digital technology to bring this to life? So yeah, I am going to start in a store, I'm afraid, and I know we're talking about e-commerce, but it's where often the rubber hits the road. And right time, right place is as important here as it is anywhere else. This is a brilliant execution in a Tesco foyer, capturing shoppers as they went into store. And there's a link back to this later on and why making sure that you've got that presentation in store is important. It links back to the TV activity with the Bobby ad, and it gives people the opportunity both to buy what we would call instant consumption drinks and future consumption drinks. So 500 ml to drink now and a 1.75 litre to share at home. And it gives the opportunity to buy bottles with your name on or bottles with generic titles on as well. So the store is really, really important for us. But our stores aren't necessarily just about selling to consumers. We're obviously selling to the trade as well in wholesalers. So this is Isabel. One of our challenges in a wholesale environment is to grab the attention of people as they come in. They're very busy, the environments are quite noisy, they tend to be quite basic. We needed something that helped us sell in the campaign, that helped us bring the marketing program to life, and helped better explain to these people why this was a real sales opportunity for their business. And of course, putting real people in place to do that costs money, and they want to go to the loo, and they want to have lunch breaks, and they want to work 8 hours a day. So actually a virtual salesperson was a really good way of us being able to add some personality to the sales pitch and trigger it as people passed the display. And it was really for us a great way where we could use digital as a way of solving a particular problem in a way that was suitable for the environment and allowed us to communicate the right message to the right people at the right time. And back to more familiar territory, of course, we activate everything online as we activate it in store. I mean, it's a massively growing challenge for us in all our markets. Probably, in GB at the moment, grocery online represents about 5% of grocery sales. And I know that doesn't sound a huge amount, given what the guy from the IMRG was talking about earlier on, but the size of the grocery market is huge. So it's a significant play for us all. And of course, it covers both multi-channel and pure play. And we spend a lot of time and a lot of money understanding how we can best activate our offers through our customer sites. And there's a couple of examples here. You could win your own name on a glass bottle. So competitions that allowed you or gave you a promo code to go to a site where you could get a personalized glass bottle. But also we activated through a number of key retailers a Share a Coke tour, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So winning the glass bottle, I mean, this was part of a broader campaign anyway about extending out the number of names that were available to buy. So going to mycoca-cola.com, which was designed to be really simple and easy to use. A lot of focus on making sure the design was responsive. You could order from over 500,000 different name options. It's actually quite interesting by market to see how many names you actually have to get around 99% coverage of the population. In the UK, to get 99% coverage, you need 299,000 names. In France, it's 24,000. In Norway, it's 14,000. So a lot of thought and effort went in this to make sure that we got the coverage that people could want. And it was a very slick service. You went on, you ordered, came in a specially designed and packaged box, and was an incredibly successful add-on to the brand program and an incredibly successful activation tool for us to drive sales through our customers. But as I said before, always very keen to try and link back what we're doing in the digital space to what we're doing in store. So we actually had a Share a Coke tour that went around a number of the largest Tesco stores in the business. And this allowed people to go in and effectively, on site, have a bottle produced with their name on it. But we obviously wanted to make sure that we maximised the impact and drove the footfall to the store. So we worked with Tesco and with Facebook to identify through their loyalty cards database lapsed Coke shoppers who also use that local store regularly. And we posted Facebook posts the day before the tour came to town to encourage shoppers to go down to the store to get their family name on their Coke bottle or their name or their friend's name on the Coke bottle. And we also supported this with geolocation-based messaging to shoppers in the vicinity of the Tesco store as the activity was going on, to encourage them to come to the store and participate in the activation. And this was an incredibly successful piece of activation at a local level, which has real scalability for us. And actually, in terms of tying people into this piece of activity, the uplift in terms of the sales as a result of it was nearly 50%. So thinking about how, again, you can use digital to link back to what you're physically doing in a store is key to a lot of success. And it's actually great when your product becomes someone else's time and place and then shares it. So again, some of you may have seen this. The public got very, very creative with the Share a Coke bottles. And Donny McGillivray of Inverness proposed to his then girlfriend, Eloise, using 6 personalised Coke glass bottles purchased from our e-commerce store. Fortunately, she said yes. But this went absolutely massive on social. We had 1 million plus likes in 48 hours, 45,000 shares, 15,000 comments, and our daily orders through the e-commerce site went up by 50% overnight. So again, really interesting how right time and place is not always one that you create. Sometimes it's one that other people create as well. And just some more examples from some other markets actually. So these are from Holland. The whole sharing concept took on a whole new meaning, and we became part of people's lives. We became relevant to their time and place. And actually, here's time and place is when the product box actually became useful. So this was a young teenager who decided to use the box as a letterbox. So, again, truly great campaign, targeting the right messages at the right time at the right place, and then letting it go, and letting it become real for other people in their time and place. So that's Share a Coke. World Cup. Again, I'll start with the store, no apologies. I'm always amazed at the level of creativity of our customers and their colleagues. I'm not entirely sure what happens when someone wants to buy one at the bottom, but a lot of time and effort is put into place to make sure that as these events are on, where people are shopping, that we have a real presence that makes people aware of the event that's going on and makes it easy for people to buy. And of course online we did the same thing. So here's an extract of some of the activity that we ran across our customers across our markets. So you've got activations on site, you've got activations on mobile, you've got activations in social. And ultimately it follows a similar expression of the way we wanted people to feel about the World Cup. But it delivers in a variety of different ways to maximise the impact at the time of consumption, and obviously about maximising the level of exposure across our customers' platforms as well. And we did some mobile activity here. We geofenced the top 100 Tesco stores in the UK, and we sent messages to all shoppers who were within 100 metres of those stores, with the message that they would see the product when they went in store. So linking back to what we physically do in store, they got the message, they walked into the store, they saw the displays at the front of the store, so linking the external prompt to the internal desire to purchase. We were able to send 500,000 messages at a time when we knew people were in the vicinity of our stores, at a time when we knew they would be stocking up to buy for the World Cup match that was happening that evening. And as a result of the activity, we saw 19% of shoppers who were sent the message actually purchase a product. So again, a real interesting area for us to continue to develop, continue to investigate, but it is very much how you link digital back to physical, right time, right place. I was going to talk a little bit about some of the blogging activity that we did as well, because again, right time, right place for your customers, dictated by them rather than by us. We all know that this is an increasingly influential area in the UK, and we know that there are actually a relatively small number of mums, particularly in our space, who are playing that influencing role. And for us, around meal occasions and events, they obviously potentially provide quite a potent and interesting way of getting a message out to a broader user base. And as I said, we tapped into this during the World Cup, working with some influential mums, but also hosting conversations and Twitter parties to help us understand or get out there the message around occasions and the role that Coke could play in planning those. At the heart of the activity was the concept of a match planner. I mean, the insight around this is that people get together to watch the football, or not watch the football as the case may be. Actually, it becomes more of a social event. It's about family, it's about friends, it's about children, it's about grandparents. And so it's ultimately not just a match, it's about an event, it's about a party. So helping particularly mums plan what they can do around that match in terms of meals, potentially in terms of games and activities, how they can create fun for all the family, because some will be watching the football, some of them will not be watching the football, was the purpose of the match planner. Very much linked back to the individual matches, personalised to meals and drink suggestions that were related to the matches and the countries that were taking part. But we wanted to find a way of building this out from us and from our customers' websites where this was also live, out through that social space from one mum to another. So we worked with a number of influencer mums. So this is an example from a mum called Sarah Jane Jones who blogs every day. She's part of a group called Collective Bias who works on behalf of brands, but importantly, although she has a following of a few thousand mums who then obviously have a much broader reach outside that, this is not about her talking about Coke, this is her about talking at the event, and if appropriate and relevant for her, the role that Coke actually plays in it. And this is an extract from her blog on hosting a great World Cup party. And Coca-Cola is part of that. She talks about the deal that is available in Tesco, but it's very much around her talking about her life, her talking about her family, and then our brand or our brands then featuring as part of that discussion. And that then starts to flow out and it gets out into that social space. And the level of reach we got was significant. But it was quite a small test, so whether it was had a huge impact on our sales, that's a bit harder to measure. And we hosted a Twitter party around planning for the big match, using the big match planner. We ended up trending in the top 10 in the UK, and we got loads of engagement and loads of interaction, and lots of ideas and thoughts that span out of that Twitter party that then again went live through the Twitter space. And here's an example of some ideas and thoughts that were shared by mums in that space to other mums, engaging people, not only with the World Cup, but with our brands as well. And it doesn't actually always have to be about a big event. One of the big drivers for us as a business is the weather, as I'm sure you can imagine. So we see significant spikes in sales when it's hot. So how do you start to link temperature to messaging that goes out into the market, whether that be through stores, physical or virtual, or potentially through other devices such as mobile? So we do, or have done, or are doing a lot of work at the moment with a number of retailers. We're trying to link into their weather forecasting demand programs. We can actually start to better understand what the demand for us could be. But particularly in the online space where we are able to be more agile in terms of the messaging that we do. We've done a number of pieces of activity with the likes of Ocado and Albert Heijn over the last 12 months, where based on an understanding of changes in temperature, so if we see that the temperature is going to hit or go beyond a certain threshold, that triggers for us certain messages, both on the site and in their social feeds, about what's coming up. So if we know it's going to be warm at the weekend during the summer, you can start talking about barbecues. You can start to provide more content that will support that. You can start to work in the role that our brands play in supporting that event. And of course, ultimately, the end game is then to drive people through to a transaction. And that could be a transaction that's done online, or that could be a transaction that's done in store. And here's some examples of what that actually looked like. These are banners from sites, but as I said, there were Facebook posts, there were Twitter messages, there was a whole host of activity that was going out there to remind people that they needed to, think about the weekend. It's going to be hot. And, as you see here, it's both about, our core range of Coke, but also, potentially pushing some of our other areas as well, like waters. So, just to wrap up really, we have a big focus around people, not technology, and I think it's very easy to get caught up in the excitement, all the great things that we see around us. But we are a mass market brand. Of course, we need to be looking at how we can develop and how we can be sort of ideas focused. But we do need to make sure that whatever we develop is absolutely serving the needs of our customers. That our customers can understand the role that we play in their lives, that we're providing easy solutions that are easy to access, that are meeting at the right time and the right place the particular requirements that they have to manage their lives in the right way. And if you're going to do that and you're going to find the right way to communicate with them, you need to make sure that the message that you are delivering are relevant and are in the context of their lives and the moment that they're in. And I just go back to some of those images that we saw at the beginning around, you've got two messages appearing either side of each other, which actually perhaps don't necessarily deliver the combined message that you're looking for, so it jars. So focusing for us all along the path to purchase on a fundamental understanding of what people are trying to do, looking at the right opportunities to deliver the right message at the right time is something that we are obsessed about and will continue to obsess about going forward. Thank you very much.